Hi, I'm Austin from Boss here at American Musical Supply, and today we're going to go over advanced looping tricks and techniques. And one of my tricks that I like to share is that I like to create atmosphere first. So whether this is by using the guitar naturally or by using pedals to create some sort of ambience and atmosphere to your track. So here's a little bit of ambience to kind of start off some cool noises with. So here we go. So that was just a little bit of improv using the RC1s. You noticed I deleted some layers, I added some layers, I took out the ambience, I added some melodies, I added some chords and stuff. So what exactly was I doing to create all of that? So one fun thing with the RC1s using them in this fashion is that I have control over how long or short my loops are. So the first loop, when I make the ambient parts and stuff, I'm not time locked into one whole device for me to create another pattern. That might be a little bit longer, maybe it might be shorter than the first loop that I made. Another cool thing that I like about using the RC1s and the FS7 is that the FS7 will add additional functions. And you saw some of the functions that I was using it for before. So the first one was used as a single push stop. So that means that after, or when I want the loop to stop, instead of pressing the one RC1 double time, instead of pressing it twice to stop the loop, I press the FS7 once and it'll stop the loop for me. This will kind of allow me to free up my feet to get a little bit better workflow with my pedal board and the rest of my pedals. The next thing that it does is something called silent delete. I also use this as well to create an additional layer on another RC1. So the FS7 will allow you to silently delete it. If the loop is stopped and I don't use the FS7, you'll get this. But using the FS7, I won't be able to hear my loop, and I can silently delete that loop and create another layer, which is really cool. Another thing that the FS7 does is something called an oops button. So we're all humans, we're not perfect, we make mistakes, right? So FS7 will be there to help out with your mistakes. So I'm going to play a riff, I'm going to play it probably relatively horribly, and then I'm going to use the FS7 to correct that function. So here we go. So you noticed I made a couple of mistakes in the beginning. I was like, oh, what's going on here? And I had a bunch of effects going on, but it was okay because all I had to do was just press the FS7 once. It stopped recording the bad loop and held it there without playing it back. And then I can go back and silently delete it like I was doing with the last function before, which was really, really cool. Another thing with advanced looping as well that I like to use, I always like to find a melody that's whistleable. It has to be singable in order for it to be a good melody. So take something very, very simple. It doesn't have to be super crazy. The tapping stuff that I was doing was mainly to create more ambience and kind of background noises, like in this loop. But I could also use them separately. I could use one for rhythm guitar and use another one for lead, which is also really, really cool. And another thing that I also like doing is a single push or a sampling of chords. So what's really cool about the RC1s is that they can record a very, very short amount of time. And this is within or under a second and a half. So I can use these as miniature samplers in a way. So I'm going to take two chords, I'm going to sample them, and then I'm going to use the two RC1s in order to add a little bit of a new flavor to the sound. So I'm going to take a G minor 7 chord and C minor 7 chord. So G minor 7. Get the rhythm right. And it's always about rhythm, right? So we always come in on the 1 and then we end on the 1, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, off loop 2, 3, 4, right? So here we go with the sound. So once again, that's another really cool function that I can use with the RC1s, is that it can be a really, really short amount of time and I can use them as samplers. And even when I used a short loop like that, it actually created a rhythm by itself. So with these loop stations, the loop station will only record what you give it. So always be creative with it, always experiment, and try new things. So I'm Austin from Boss here at American Musical Supply, sharing advanced looping techniques. Thank you so much for watching.